Life is all about relationships. Lovers, family, body, or money. How satisfied you are can be completely explained by how you relate to things around you. This is Sophie Jaffe, and together with my husband, Dr. Adi Jaffe, we are here to explore and teach you how to maximize your relationships and achieve a happier life. Let's get ignited.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ignited Podcast. I'm Adi Jaffe.
And I'm Sophie Jaffe.
There it is. And we're here to talk about the fact that, sometimes the biggest changes, the biggest transformations in your life, the biggest discoveries come out of these really unexpected moments, these pain points or these things in your life that may have seemed really like the end of the road and actually ended up opening an entirely new life. And the guest that we have today, Elissa Goodman, is exactly one of those examples. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But we both have had those experiences ourselves. Yeah,
I just think Elissa is so inspiring. I've known her for a decade now, which is crazy. But she's consistently amazing. And she is inspiring. And she's doing what she loves every day. And it's not like she fell into this. She actually lived a very different life for a long time, which you'll hear. But, she came from a completely different way of living, a completely different upbringing, and is living her life in a whole new way because she wanted it. She recognized within herself that it wasn't working. It wasn't working with her children. It wasn't working in her marriage. It wasn't working in her health. She had cancer. Nothing was working that she was doing, and she needed to make some huge shifts and changes. And she did.
Right. And for a lot of people, there are a lot of signals that the way you're doing things isn't working for you and that it's not delivering what you want. But they just kind of keep trying to go harder and harder at what they know how to do.
Or you might get signals and you don't listen to them. So the universe may be sending you signals, but if you're not intuitive and you're not connected to yourself, you might not even know that you're getting those signals.
Yeah, but I'm saying even if you are aware that there's signals kind of happening to you around life saying change needs to happen, you keep believing that it's other people that need to change or the circumstances need to change or well, if that person would have done what they were supposed to do, then it would have been different.
Yeah.
And sometimes the signals keep coming and at some point you kind of go, oh, wait, what's the common denominator? It's me.
Yep. Exactly.
I know I went through that big time, a couple of times in my life.
Yeah.
But that was a big revelation for me, right? Like from the teenage, young adult kind of way of looking at the world, which is me, and the way I think is right and everything like that, to being an adult and saying, oh, when these things happen, I need to look inwards first and try to figure out what's happening. Why am I reacting the way that I'm reacting? And then go from there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What, have you ever had a moment like that in life? Like where you were getting these signals and maybe you were fighting it for a minute and then eventually you kind of realized like, oh, this is about me shifting?
Oh, yeah. Several times in my life. From relationships, my first relationship, my ex-boyfriend, I ignored the signals from the universe over and over and over again. I just was so bullheaded. I'm a Taurus. I'm just so stubborn and so stuck on this idea that he was going to change and he had potential, but he didn't want to change for him. He wasn't ready and he didn't want to. And doing it for me wasn't enough. So I'd beg him to change for me and I'd beg him to do this and that. And he'd kind of dabble and put his pinky toe in the water. But if they don't want to change for themselves, then it's not going to happen. So I kept ignoring the signals and eventually, huge catastrophic things had to happen, kind of like with Elissa. She had to develop cancer. She had to lose her husband. Really huge things had to happen for her to realize, I need to fucking change.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened to me. Almost getting killed to realize that this relationship was killing me.
Yeah, and we talk about that in the episode about sometimes this signal has to get so loud and so in front of your face that you just literally can't ignore it. You literally just either change or you'll either die or suffer some other terrible kind of consequence. And, the unfortunate reality is some people don't change even then. And to me, that's when...
I mean, is that rock bottom?
Not changing then
Yeah.
or changing then?
No, I guess it would be that person's rock bottom if then they change.
Yeah, rock bottom is this really weird concept, right? Because you only know you hit a rock bottom a while later when it's... Now you can look back and say, well, that was my bottom.
Yeah.
Because trust me, guys, you can always go lower.
Yeah.
You can always keep screwing things up farther and farther and kind of end up in a deeper and deeper hole.
Yeah.
And that's true, by the way, that's true for guys who don't get along with their partner and end up getting divorced. True for people who keep trying different diets and it ends up not working. True for people who just are miserable in their work and they keep blaming the work for it and not actually finding something that they're passionate about and believing that somehow the outside world is going to deliver their purpose for them without ever really going deep in and taking the responsibility on that I play a role in this and I need to do it. In the end, it comes down to owning it.
Right.
In the end, whether it's physical ailments that are sometimes psychologically driven, your environment, the relationships you're in, all those sorts of things, we all have at least a big part in it.
It's your life.
Yeah.
It's your own life.
Yeah.
I see so many people being the victim in their lives, and it drives me crazy. And it drives me crazy when I do that, when I'm the victim. I'm like, oh, I pull myself out of it because I see it now. And like the most annoying thing to me about myself or someone else that I love is cycles, is repeating the same cycles. I did that with my ex over and over again. I'd say, I'm going to get out. This is it. One more time. Do it again. And it happens again. I'd find myself in the exact same position, after a big fight, locked out of my own house or whatever it was. And just like, I'm here again. I can't believe I'm here again. And same with food stuff, like restricting, and then binge eating and being like, here I am with a tub of ice cream, like 2 frozen waffles, like how did I get here? Like,
you're like in a day. It's like a drug-induced daze.
Like then the aha moment of like, I've been here before. How did I get here again? We've been through this. I can't do this again. And like those types of rock bottoms of like, something has to change, and that something is me. I'm the one that needs to change. Yeah,
that's such a big thing to admit. I can guarantee there
it's such a big thing to admit, but I had been through it so many times and in so many different ways. I think I've just been through, like, I've lived lifetimes.
Yeah. I'm sure there are people listening right now who are struggling, and the idea of looking inside and going like, oh shit, this is about me is really scary because they've been struggling with this for a while. And I mean, I know this from people I've worked with on addiction, to the people who've done the course recently, to whoever, to couples I've worked with, where all of a sudden it hits and like the switch goes off and they go, fuck.
Yeah, it is fuck. Unless you look at it like, okay, I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to take responsibility for my actions and not be the victim. How exhausting is it to always be the victim? Everyone around you is drained like crazy from your actions. Like, you're draining yourself. You're going through the same cycles over and over again, which is literally the definition of insanity. So you are insane, and you're continuing the same behavior over and over again, expecting the same results.
Different results.
You're expecting different results, but the same results keep coming.
Yep.
You need to make a change. And I think it can be really liberating to just step into the driver's seat and be like, I'm going to take control of my life right now. And that's what Elissa did. And it's beautiful. And she totally transformed her life.
It is. And she transformed her life and really made it the next phase of her life. And it's, it's now her business, and it supports her. I mean, she looks amazing at her. Like, there's so many different things.
I mean, she's hot, and she's like in her 50s.
Yeah.
Like when I was on that panel with her, remember that panel at Equinox I did? And it was like, I was the 30s. Some other like health foodie from Australia was the 40s, and then she was the 50s. It was like, I think she's supposed to be like the late 30s, like the early 40s. She looks amazing.
Yeah, and she talks about how she struggled with health concerns her entire life.
Yep, she did. And I also have always related. There's not many people that I can relate to with food philosophies, and we've always seen eye to eye. Like, we're both like heavily plant-based, believe in juicing, believe in smoothies, believe in superfoods, love them, use them every day, but we'll eat a steak and we'll eat some cheese at a party, and we drink alcohol and we party and we have fun and we live our lives. And I think that that's really nice and comforting to like see someone that I look up to. Cause I sometimes feel like really like alone in that, because there's so many people that want to be paleo and say alcohol is the devil and, you know, like really put themselves in a box. And it's hard to like be out here in the wild, wild west on my own. Like, oh, I'm just like out here, like not following rules strictly, and seeing someone that's so glowing and beautiful. Like, I would be more than honored to look like her when I'm 50. Like,
no doubt.
Please, God, make me look like her when I'm 50. Like, I wish my skin looked like hers now. She's glowing. And it's because she lives a balanced life and she's living true. And, you know, like, I can only hope to be that beautiful then.
All right. So with that amazing introduction, please stay tuned for this interview. And don't forget, everybody, we are in Seattle in the middle of February, right after Valentine's Day. We're going to do a couples workshop. And Sophie's doing a hit vinyasa yoga thing.
So whether or not you're in a couple or not, if you're in a coupleship and you want to bring your partner to Saturday's workshop, it's going to be really, really deep work, super profound, beautiful healing, a whole day workshop with Adi and I. And if you just want to come work out and sweat and have fun and party with me and Adi, he's going to be DJing on Sunday.
What?
And we'll be serving, I'll do a hit vinyasa flow. It'll be super sweaty and amazing. I think we got like 100 people in there last time.
Damn.
And then a smoothie station afterwards. So it'll be super fun. Come and hang out. Can't wait to meet you and see you in person. If you were there last time, see you again.
What's the name of the studio?
Bala Yoga.
Bala Yoga in Seattle. Look it up. I think the thing is already up. The site is up. You have to buy tickets.
Yep. Go to balayoga.com and just book the tickets. It's going to sell out. Can't wait to see you, and stay tuned for Elissa.
Yep.
This episode of the Ignited podcast is brought to you by Philosophy Superfoods. The Philosophy offers cleanses and other nutritional products that are unlike any of the other supplements and detoxification programs on the market. Why? Because they actually nourish the body with whole, live, nutrient-rich foods instead of depriving you and leaving you hungry. Have you ever tried a cleanse only to find out that you can't make it through a whole day because you're starving? Ever try a superfood shake that made you nauseous because it was so disgusting you'd rather not eat? The Philosophy fix all that with a simple set of offerings that load up your body with nutrients while actually tasting good. Makes sense, right? Each of the Philosophy superfood and protein blends is vegan, raw, gluten-free, and has absolutely no filler ingredients. With over 15,000 satisfied customers, including some of the world's biggest celebrities like George Clooney, Gerard Butler, Lea Michele, and over 10 years of experience, this is the best stuff you can get. To buy some or find out more info, go to our website, thephilosophy.com.
All right, everybody, welcome to the interview section of the Ignited podcast. So excited to have Elissa Goodman here with us today. Hey, Elissa.
Hi.
How you doing?
So excited to be here.
Yeah,
you guys hold a special place in my heart.
Same.
We've both been on your show.
Yes.
So now it's time for you to be on our show.
Exactly. It was a must.
And Elissa and I have been connected for, I think, like 10 years,
Well,
right?
it's been as long as I've been doing this.
Yeah.
I think you were one of the first people I connected with.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know where.
Yeah.
But ever since, and I have to say,
I think it was when I was selling at Air One.
Yeah.
Right? You discovered it on your own.
Right, I did. And ever since then, I'm still using your product.
Yeah, well, you know.
It's in all my cleanses. It's
Alyssa's
like
an amazing nutritionist. And
clients.
she sent so many clients our way that are like diehard, really consistent. Mark and like all these people that like.
Mark Didier.
Yeah.
He loves you.
Loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great, and that's what community is all about. And also finding people in your community that you trust.
Yeah.
I think in nutrition especially, someone that resonates, like there is no really right and wrong. We were talking about this earlier. It's more like finding someone that you trust and resonate with and their messaging, and then you trust the suggestions they give, and that's, it's so important to have that, to just know like, oh, I know when Elissa gives advice about certain products, she's going to tell the truth, or when Sophie does.
Right.
So Elissa, you do health stuff?
Yeah.
Is that what
just
you do?
a little. Yeah.
I think we still have
cleansing,
like 20 jars from your cleanse.
No.
It's like, do you really need all these jars? I'm like,
Sophie
I
won't throw
may
them
need
out.
them.
She
I
won't
may
throw them
need
out.
the mason
I know.
jars. You never know when we're going to like make a lot of soup.
We get a lot of that. Like, what am I supposed to do with these jars?
Yeah,
I wish we could recycle them.
I know.
That's- People can recycle them on
Yeah.
their own, but I
Sure.
wish we could reuse them.
Yeah.
I know.
It's kind of a
So
bummer.
we'll start off with the fact that you sell these cleanses for people and you talk about healthy and nutritious living and all that wonderful stuff. Do you want to give us the like elevator pitch for what Elissa Goodman's nutritional world is like?
Sure. I gotta get better at that elevator pitch.
We're gonna help you.
Good.
do it.
Cut me off. Well, my story. Well, actually, the short version of my story is I've never ever felt well. Like I was labeled the sick kid growing up. I mean, I honestly, when I came into the world, I had a low immune system. So constantly always sick, got every illness known to man. So, and I had a really, really type A mom and dad, but mom, they were on the fast track. And basically, I think part of what was going on for me growing up was when I was sick, my mom would slow down and give me attention and like chill out. I know. So I think there was like two things going on.
sad.
I wasn't really the healthiest, but I also was doing that to get the attention.
Yep.
So that was, I did that my whole life. And then I ended up getting cancer. So then I got into the health regime a bit. Like I didn't want to do all the Western medicine, and I did half Western, half Eastern. And I started juicing, and I became vegan, and I meditated. I went into therapy because I knew I had the most toxic mind. That was huge, and things weren't going my way at all, especially being diagnosed with that. And then I ended up getting married and having 2 kids, and my husband was diagnosed with cancer 11 years later, and he did not make it. So that was devastating. And I just fell apart for a couple of years and started to think to myself, I have these 2 girls. Their dad died when they were 7 and 10, and they are so traumatized. And the PTSD is just like at an all-time high for all 3 of us, and the trauma for all 3 of us. And I was like, they have 2 parents that had cancer. They were sick. So they're going to think, we were talking earlier, they're going to think they're going to get cancer. And that's when I was like, the light bulb went off, like, how do I help them? How do I help the family? And I went back to school to get certified in Eastern and Western nutrition. I'm really flexible with my nutrition, but I'm very plant-based. And I do love to juice, but I don't put any fruit in my juices. I'm very much kind of on the same line with what you do.
Yep.
I do have kids who eat animal protein, so I dabble in it a bit, and I think my body needs some. When I want it, I'll have it, but I'm very, very heavily plant-based. And I just recently healed myself from hyperthyroidism Hashimoto's after 21 years.
We're getting into this. This we're getting into today because this one, Adi, was diagnosed about a year ago with Hashimoto's, and I know he can heal naturally.
He can.
And I also think
Absolutely.
that in the last 6 months since leaving his practice, I can see the difference in his skin. Like, he's so much healthier now. And I think that he probably could.
They both came around at the same time, but I'm going to get blood tests done again and all that kind of stuff and see where it is.
Yeah, the stress.
But we know, the levels of stress.
Yeah.
I always say it's funny, even though I do addiction stuff, I tell people, in the end, it's all about stress.
Yeah.
Whether the stress is coming from drugs or alcohol, whatever it's coming from, or family situation, work, environmental stressors, whatever it is, in the end, it's always about stress.
Right.
So once you figure out how to kind of work that appropriately, you'll figure out a lot of other things. Yeah.
And I feel like, I lived high stress my whole life. I didn't even know what low stress. Everybody seemed to be on like the fast track. So fast track of stress. It was crazy. And then we were just like trying to make lots of money and, be successful. And we just never knew what taking that downtime was all about, like, and how important it was until we got sick.
And we're not taught that. We're not taught that.
Right.
Our society is fast paced, whether or not you have type A parents or not. Like, our society is fast paced. Yeah. Everything is go, go, go. Especially right now, more than ever, we are just bombarded with information. We are bombarded with information even on just Instagram. There are ads. There are people. There's new. It's saturated. There's so much information.
I know.
And then you go outside of that, and then it's like the web. And then you go outside of that, and it's like the world. You go outside. I mean, it's crazy how much information is being thrown at you at every single moment.
I know it's not doing good things for us
No.
in the health arena or in the mental arena, right?
Yeah.
And the anxiety or depression or sleep issues and the autoimmune stuff is like crazy on the rise.
Isn't it?
It's not getting any better. Cancer isn't getting any better, our diagnoses of that. So
I feel like I hear about a new immunity, like some kind of disorder, like thing coming out.
I know, all the time, right? Agreed. I mean, the Hashimoto's, I mean, the thyroid is huge because that is like right up close to where it's a very much of a, like sort of a sponge for toxins because it's right up here next to, you know, you eating and swallowing food. And also it's where we express ourselves, and a lot of us women don't express ourselves.
Chakra.
Throat chakra. So that's a big thing. And emotionally, we're like,
Can't speak.
Can't speak.
Can't express myself or else.
Someone said growing up, you know, I want to see you, but I don't want to hear you. So that's what
I've been
I got.
reading Little House on the Prairie to the kids, and there's a lot of those expressions in there. And they're like, Mommy, what do they mean by that? Like, little girls should be seen and not heard at the dinner table. And they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, it's just old-fashioned thinking.
That's
Don't even
not gonna happen
worry.
in your house.
Don't even worry about it. You keep speaking up.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like kind of followed those same traditions with my girls, and that was a mistake because they rebelled.
You followed what you knew.
Yep. They
You
rebelled.
followed what you were taught. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think I'm
Don't embarrass me.
Yeah. It's a constant unlearning. It's a constant reprogramming.
Yeah.
Of all of it. Of everything from childhood, of just all of this stuff, this information. You have to really like dig in and be in tune. And again, this is never taught.
Right.
So at least now we're in a place where we can share our experiences, and there's something beautiful about having podcasts and the internet and things for those reasons, is that you can share information very quickly. So that's the beauty, right?
That is true.
I mean, people can listen to this podcast and then go and like research their own Hashimoto's, research their own cancer, like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing is that I think people oftentimes look for like one way to raise your kids, and then you have your kids and you realize, oh, they're different kids.
Exactly.
Yes.
The same thing doesn't work for both of them.
Yeah.
The same thing that I say it to one kid and they go, oh, okay, I totally get this. I say it to the other kid and he looks at me like, who are you? And why are you even thinking that this is going to work?
And it makes it worse. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, is you have to be, you have to be flexible, flow and flexibility in parenting, but in life.
Talia Sutra plug-in for our episode. Flexibility in life is like, it's this
crucial.
Core skill. It's literally a skill to be able to say, and you have to practice it all the time. You said it, I dabble in the meat, right? It's like, I remember for probably a couple of years, Sophie was scared because she was in the vegan world for so long. She was scared of admitting that she was sometimes eating meat because it took her into this whole other world. And then when you did it, you had all these people tell you, oh my God, thank you. I'm also not completely in this one camp, but I couldn't be honest. And, again, I keep saying this whenever we do these episodes. That's why we try to just be totally clear and transparent with people, is because otherwise you teach people that hiding is what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
Like, don't say this because if you say it, people won't like you. Oh, wait, that's messed up. Like, why don't I figure out why that thing is there before I shut it down? Maybe a whole other group of people would be totally into me if they knew who I really was.
Yeah,
that's true.
And
also I think that when you hold back who you really are, that's when you get sick.
Heck
potentially.
Yeah.
Not everybody will get, but potentially. I mean, you're holding in all this emotion. You're like, wait, I want to speak up. I want to speak my mind. I don't want to do what you're telling me to do. But you're just staying quiet.
What if you imagine how this plays out? You don't have to imagine. It happens to most people in real life. You go to school and you get an education you don't really care about because that's what everybody told you you're supposed to do. You get a job that you really kind of hate, but that's what you're supposed to do. So you're day to day, you're stressed out, you're berated by your boss, you can't stand the life that you're in. Maybe you marry somebody or you date somebody that doesn't really feel right, but that's the right kind of person. And like all these things start amassing, and then you wonder why at the age of, sometimes 30, sometimes 40, sometimes 50, sometimes 60 fall apart because the stress has been building, and you've actually been doing really well considering how much stress you've put yourself under. You've been functioning really, really well.
Right.
And I like that you told
But you're
the story.
hiding. You're like, yeah.
Well, you're hiding yourself. But
So painful.
most of the time, by that point, people don't even realize they're hiding.
Right.
It's just a mask and a costume they've worn for so long. They go, no, this is how I like to be. And I go, really? What part of the way you present right now shows you that you like being like this? Because you're either overweight or underweight. You're not sleeping, or you can't get out of bed.
Right.
You fight all the time with people, or you never talk to people because you're so isolated, right? Like, what about this feels good to you right now? And when you let people really start thinking about it, a lot of people I've met go, oh shit, okay, well let me start back in the basics. And it sounds like what I love about the story, and you told me about this before we started meeting today, is this came for you out of your own huge life change.
Right.
This struggle that you had with cancer, and then that your husband had with cancer.
Yeah, I mean, I was just right there. Didn't know who I was. I was brought up to be a certain way, present myself a certain way, you know, just proper, so to speak, be seen, not heard. Always drove me crazy because I always was like, this is so not me. And they're saying, hey, don't feel like this. But I felt like that. And it was crazy making. And I did move from Arizona. I grew up and I moved to New York. I thought I would get across country to get away from all of that.
Yep.
You can move and go somewhere else, but you can't
escape.
You can't escape. I couldn't escape still that feeling of like, wow, who am I? Yeah, and it didn't take until I got diagnosed with cancer. And then also really when my husband passed away, and I really found myself coming out of, finding who I really was and really discovering like, wow, I really have a lot to offer the world, but I didn't even know that I did, or that even the way I was raising my girls, I was raising them the same way that I was raised. Yeah. And they were like, hey, Mom, that's not working. They were screaming at me. Like,
you felt the resistance, but you just continued on course because you were like, this is the way that I parent.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they just kept yelling at me, like in so many ways, like, this isn't working. And I'm like, but this is the only way I know. And finally everything kind of combusted, and thank God it did, because it was the best thing that ever happened to all of us. I mean, like I got to really see, I had to really go, wow, none of this is working.
Do you mind going in, like when you say it all combusted, what does that mean?
Well, basically, my older daughter was really, I was trying to tame her. She was she definitely had an expression about herself that she wanted to share. She was she'd like to speak up. She knew when people weren't telling the truth. She knew, she would bust people right on the spot, and that was mortifying. And she'd bust me. She'd be like, you're not telling the truth.
Oh, they know.
Oh, totally. And I'd be like, you can't say that to your mom, and they would say it in front of other people, and I was mortified because.
And it makes it worse if you try and rebel, stand up against it. You don't speak to me that way.
Right.
They're going to speak to you that way.
And that's what went on. That went on for years. And then she was just like, you've got to see. And then my second one did the same thing. And I'm like, holy shit. This isn't working. And just everything, when all of that, they were my biggest, I guess, Buddhas in the road, or, they basically said, because it was the three of us after my husband passed away, and I was petrified because I was like, how the hell am I going to be a single parent? Because I don't really know how to be a parent. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel solid.
None of us do.
If anybody listening right now knows how to be a parent, please email us directly. I will forward the information, Elissa.
Please do.
Yeah, I have one or two parents. I have one or two friends who might be like, I know, but other than that, they don't really. No. Nobody really knows.
Under the surface, they're like, oh my God, I hope this works out. Oh my God, I hope this works out.
Pray.
It's a fucking life. You are literally deciding the entire trajectory of not just their life, but their kids' life and their kids' kids. It's
I know.
Almost too much responsibility. It's just as much responsibility as a human should be able to take on. And that's our biggest challenge, right?
It's the biggest challenge.
And
I had to be honest. So I had to really be honest that I was judgmental. I was elitist. I was a snob.
Wow, those are some big things to admit about yourself.
It was really devastating. I mean, I already knew that, but to admit it and to really realize that none of those things were getting me what I want. They weren't getting me intimacy. They weren't getting me like a great relationship with my girls or anything. They weren't like really giving me.
They were making your life better.
Nope.
Yeah, even though we learn that they will, right? So, I mean, you said some of these words like the elitist piece. It's like only hang out with these kinds of people. Why? Because the idea is if you hang out with those kinds of people, your life will be better. And then you find out that if that's the orienting, like if that's how you look at the world, you will slowly end up with more and more people who care less and less about the world and more about themselves and what they can get from other people. And then next thing you know, you're like this really socially isolated group of people who are kind of all miserable and all hurting each other.
Well, we are the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So if the people that you're spending the most time with are those that are elitist and snobby and self-entitled and narcissist, then that was it. Then that's what you are too. And you know that's it's going on the new year, and I just led a winter solstice circle last night, and it just kept coming back to the new year. And what do you want to carry into the new year? What do you not want to carry in? What baggage? What loose change at the bottom of your purse do you not need to be carrying into the new year? And relationships is a big one.
That's true.
Relationships are a big one.
Heavy.
I just had kind of like a breakup with someone a few weeks ago that was a long time coming. And I'm super relieved now, but obviously it wasn't, it's never easy.
No.
However, within a few days, I had this aha moment. I had another friend standing here in my kitchen who I haven't seen in years. And it was such an energetic thing, right? If you don't make space, then nothing new can come in. You're not welcoming in new energy if you're covered, if all your space is taken up. So I'm standing in the kitchen. This friend brought food for the kids, food for me, was so nurturing, sweet, kind. And I was thinking, like, why haven't I seen this person in so long? Oh, because I was taken up. My space.
With someone else.
Yeah. Even though it's just little bits of time, like the universe puts things where it belongs. And if there's no space, there's no space.
I know.
So let me ask you a question, because those are big things to admit about yourself. And my guess is that's just the edge. Like, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Icing on the cake.
Yeah. So I know like in my relationship with Sophie, when it gets to those things, to some of the core pieces, not only are they hard to talk about, but they're really difficult to bring up and talk about in a way that is constructive, in a way that allows the other person to actually do something to change versus just being blaming, right? Like, you're this way or you're this way. What was happening for you at the time? Because I'm sure there are people listening right now who know there are things they want to change about themselves, but they're resistant. What was it that allowed you to make that change?
To make the change? Well, first of all, it was really the girls, because I didn't want to have, I wanted to have an intimate relationship with them, and I wanted to have a friendship with them. Like, I wanted them to trust me and to like look up to me, and not in like, I'm better but just to be proud of me. And I wasn't proud of me. So that was big. Like, I knew all those things and I wasn't proud of me and how I saw myself functioning that way, but I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. So first was them, because it was just the 3 of us again. And I thought, wow, if I lose them, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Then I also, when I got into this business and being a nutritionist and trying to help people and really tune in, energy-wise to them and what was going on with them, I couldn't sit across going with my judgments, with my elitism, I was like, oh my God, that's not gonna work. There's no way. Like, these people aren't gonna even wanna come back to me. So that was a big aha moment. I just realized that I really want to help and be of service, and you can't when you have all those things going on for yourself. And I did want intimacy, and I did want love, and I did want to have another relationship in my life after my husband died. So
that's so beautiful.
When I met David, he was very much working on all those things too. So thank God for him. He kept saying, he wasn't a lot of those things.
But you were already working on those things on your own, and then you found him. So you were aligned.
True.
And you were able to find each other because you were on the same frequency and the same vibration. If you weren't working on yourself yet, I don't think you probably would have found him.
No, I was on the road. I mean, it was very bumpy with him.
But you were doing
How
the
was this?
work.
Right, but
You
I
were
was
doing
doing
the
the
work.
work. And he kept pushing me to do the work. And my girls kept pushing me to do
Yeah.
the work. So I'm like so thankful for all of them.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really amazing just because the work is hard by itself. And then to get it from that many places. I mean, the trauma of losing your husband and trying to rebuild anyway, that's hard for anybody.
Right.
Whether you're trying to go through self-change or not, that's hard.
Right.
2 teenage daughters around the same time, which is, I guess they weren't. They were like just
yeah,
early.
10 and 7.
Yeah.
But then they were going into their teenage years. And especially living in LA. That's always fun.
Oh, man.
Private school.
Here we go.
Anyway, yes.
Sophie
With your
is
kids.
looking forward to embarking on that trip.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't even like let people discuss when they
Okay,
talk about the
good.
teenage years. I'm like, meh.
Good.
Because my experience is going to be my experience,
it
you
is.
know? And it doesn't have to be like fear-based.
Yeah.
It's so funny how subjective everything is. Like, oh, the third child, watch out. 3's a crowd. 3's a this. Oh, 3's more hands than you guys have. You'll be outnumbered. All of these things
I
that
know,
are
this
like
negativity.
And then other people, oh, our third is our angel. Our third, she is our, and I'm like, met her. She's 17. She's the youngest. Her older brothers are 10 years older.
Yeah.
I couldn't love my brothers more. We're so close. Every situation
Yeah.
is different and unique. And it's what you bring to it. And it's your energy. And it's your vibration. And it's your family.
Right.
It's our dynamic.
Right.
You know, it's what we create. And
Yeah.
we create the rules as we go.
Yeah.
The more you're comparing to the outside, the more trouble you're in.
Right.
Well,
in
it's
anything.
Yeah, and it's definitely true that going into a situation thinking ahead of time is going to suck
Oh, yeah.
is setting you up for failure.
For
right
sure.
from the
Like
beginning.
all those teenage
Totally,
years, we may
right.
as well just,
Right.
you know.
I did all of that. I did.
Yeah.
And it did suck.
I come from that kind of family too. I come from a very, this is how you do things, and these are the most important things, and everything else is tangential, and
Right.
kind of setting the rules for you. And again, I
Yeah.
say this to Sophie all the time. I say it to anybody that when we talk about these things, my parents loved me. I mean, my mom still loves me. My dad's passed away, but love me. Like there's zero question in my mind about whether that's true or not.
Right.
And they come from very strict, very kind of specific upbringings themselves. So just like what we're talking about, they're trying to do their best. Like Sophie said, the beauty of these sorts of things is, look, some people listen to this podcast. We got a couple of those messages this week, and they're like, one message. We got one message.
Someone was like, who are all these people leaving me? And I'm like, well, it was one message, one negative message. But I still want to speak to that because maybe there are people that aren't speaking up.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true. There's a
And
lot of
the
that.
basic essence of the comment was that.
The comment was that we kind of overshared, or we shared some things that weren't really, didn't paint me in the best light, is kind of the big picture.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't.
But
do you
that's
wanna
your-
cap-
We're not here to be
That's
perfect.
your, yeah.
Well, not just that. Like
That's for you to do.
I am in doing this podcast. Part of the work is working on myself and
Right.
learning from other people and learning from their experiences and learning from my wife, because we have these conversations all the time.
Right.
Anyway, so let's really do them with depth and with mindfulness as we do them. So I know I'm a work in progress.
Well,
And
we're
by-
also not going to be helping. Our point here is to help people. That's why we're both here.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not helping anyone if we're perfect.
No.
We're not helping anyone if we don't share the dirty, the yucky, the stuff we went through.
I don't
Well,
like
look-
that perfect word.
Well,
No.
look, I maybe I would help people if I'm perfect, but I don't even know what that means.
I don't think that would.
I don't think you put, no,
What does that
I don't
look
think
like?
so. I don't
If
think
I was
so.
really like, I mean, you were talking about Buddha before, you know, the kids being like, if I was really the Buddha, by the way, just so it's clear to anybody
furthest.
listening to it, I'm not the furthest.
yeah.
I'm not the furthest thing from the
You're
Buddha.
right there in the middle somewhere.
No, I'm far, but I'm far from it. I don't know where I am in relation to other people, but I'm far from it. But if I was, then maybe I could pretend that I'm some guru and teach.
Yeah.
That is not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I've learned a lot of stuff and I have a shit ton more to learn. And I actually like some of those comments because they point out things to me that I may not have paid attention to, right? If you only listen to
True.
the people who like you,
I know.
then you start, again, only hanging out with people who
Right.
are like-minded.
Right.
It's good to get the challenge.
Yeah.
But the challenge doesn't mean that it's wrong. The challenge just means that there's something I need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And it sounds like...
grow and learn. And I can't not, I mean, now I'm addicted to it. Now I'm addicted to like learning. And speaking of like Buddha, I just think that we're always like in process, right?
Yeah.
So we're not ever like
Done.
when someone says, "Oh yeah, she's the best nutritionist," or "She's the best superfood person," or you're the best healer in the addicted world, or whatever it is. I mean, there isn't that. Like I don't
No.
believe that. I mean, I'm not.
And it's not an end. Just like authenticity, just
Yeah.
like happiness, it's all a daily practice.
Right.
Oh yeah.
It's a
and if you
daily
stop,
practice.
and if you stop practicing it, guess what? It's going to start going away.
Right.
And
That's
we
true.
all know
Yeah.
that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like we talked before about right before this podcast, we talked about how all of our stress levels are escalating, and that is such a normal thing around the holidays anyway. Mm-hmm. But if you don't pay attention and if you don't take care of yourself,
yeah.
so that you can show up as your best for those other things, they're not going to matter. They're going to eventually not be there anyway, because you will have forgotten what got you there. And so that humility of being able to say, oh, my kids are telling me something that I need to take in and I need to change. And then meeting somebody, like Sophie said, meeting somebody who's already doing the exact same sort of work.
Right.
So you kind of can work on it together. That's magical.
It's magical. It is. I mean, I always say to my friends, like when girls point out stuff to me that I've said or done, and they say that didn't feel good, that wasn't, I didn't like that comment. And I remember always saying before, like, well, sorry, but not sorry type of thing. And now it's like, wow, it really sinks in. And even with clients, like I do things, I do things that, or say things that aren't right. And I want people to tell me. I so want someone to say, hey, you hurt my feelings, or I didn't like what you said.
That's how we grow.
It's the best
and it's
feeling.
awareness.
Yeah.
And we need awareness of our surroundings. We need awareness, like with our bodies, it's called proprioception. With our energy and our words and our actions, that's just awareness. That's
Right.
just knowing how you show up to the world, knowing what energy you bring into a room, knowing what you're doing,
Right.
what you're perceived as, not just what you think you're doing or this image that you're putting out there.
I mean, that's the best gift you can give your kids.
Yeah.
Is to act that way, to follow these steps, to live that way.
We're already practicing that.
Right. And
I'm
they
like, do you see
follow
the way
you.
that you're behaving right now? Like, you're affecting everyone in this room. Like, you pouting is making us all sad. And it's starting at a very low level, but the idea is just awareness. Be
Right.
aware of your behavior to the world and in the world, how you show up. How do you want to show up to your friends? How do you want to show up to your class, to your teachers? With gratitude and love and an open heart, or grumpy because you didn't get to watch TV?
Right.
Or
Right.
because,
Right.
And it's funny because you see both in Kai and Leo, when they're in a good day, when they're having a good day and they
Yeah.
can hear you, and when they're having one of those days where they just shut you down and they're like, I hear what you're saying, but even though we're trying to be as accepting and kind, etc., they're just not in a place to hear it. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting as a parent to be able to go, okay, and like me turning up the volume and getting more mad is not the thing that's going to fix this.
Right.
So to be able to say to them, you know what, you go do your own thing, and we'll be here. And when you're ready to join us again, kind of come back.
I love that.
It's
And grown-ups need that too.
I know.
We
So
are
true.
treating the kids more and more like grown-ups every day. I mean, I'm not going to yell at Adi the way that sometimes I used to yell at the kids. Like, that doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't. They're not hearing me. It's not changing anything. So now we're just.
There has to be a better
We're looking
way.
at things differently, and we don't know the rules, and we're not reading this in books. Like, this is just going off their energy and being like, okay, that's not going to work. I mean, verbatim, they told us, like, we don't want you to yell at us anymore. It's scary, and like, we want another way. So we came up with another way with them, and Leo,
So you
who's
did it
5,
together.
pulled the whole plan together.
Wow.
He pulled the whole plan together. And
That's a major
we let him be in the
empowerment
lead.
for
It's
him.
empowerment.
Yeah.
So now it's their rules. So now
Yeah.
we enforce those rules and we say our 3 warning system, which is our new system. The first warning, this is your verbal warning. This is your warning, your first warning. And they see me, you look at them in the eyes. Okay, that's your warning. Number 2, you go to your room or to the playroom by yourself and take some time to yourself, right? Just what we need as adults.
right.
I need some time to chill out by myself and just
Right.
not be away from this space. And then the third one is taking something away that is relevant to that moment. So if they take something and break it or hit someone with that, now they're not going to play with that toy anymore. Or if we were supposed to watch a family movie in 1 hour and they act disrespectful, now that's gone. So something that's like really tangible, close to it, so it makes sense. And we came up with that together.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it's definitely better.
I love that.
It's not
Yeah.
perfect.
It's not
like
perfect, but they
anything else.
respect it more because they were a part of it
Right. They're
instead
part
of
of the
not really
decision.
understanding
Yeah,
what.
it's
Instead
really
of you
interesting.
making it, and
Yeah,
then they had
exactly.
to follow suit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see when Leo responds to
that's
the
pretty
warning,
cool.
because he goes, oh yeah, this is the thing that we decided on.
Right. That is pretty cool. I mean, I didn't have that growing up. Yeah, I was like, had none of that.
I didn't either.
And I look back and I'm just like, wow, there
It was all over the place for me. Like my mom was like, she's kind of like borderline. So every day the world rules changed
differently.
Everything, how she showed up, like,
yeah.
and it
Scary.
was really
Scary for a kid.
really scary and really inconsistent because I never knew which version I was going to get. And that inconsistency, the one thing babies, kids, they need consistency. They crave consistency from like sleep schedules to eating schedules to routine. They crave that, and like we're very free spirited in here. Like we like definitely do our own thing and beat our own drum.
Right.
But there's consistency within that. And they know they're going to go to bed around the same time every night. They're going to eat similar meals every day. They don't get really thrown off in those ways. And that's what keeps them grounded.
Right. So important.
I have a question about, has there been a moment, we'll ask these questions that we ask everybody later, but I'm wondering if there's been a moment that you can think about right now where you saw yourself acting in a way that was totally different than in the past.
Oh, wow. There's a lot. It's interesting. I feel like my whole life I was reactionary. So if somebody said something, I would react, like went into major, like, yeah, I'm gonna, like I'm so pissed. I can't believe they said that. I can't believe. And now I totally sit back and I'm like, or with the girls too, like I would react right away. But now it's like, wow, wait, I can, there's like a tension in the air and I know that's affecting what's going on and there's an energy going on and, so-and-so just flew in from across the country and I'm feeling stressed about whatever I'm doing that day or a client that was there that stressed me out. So now I kind of like really do take a deep breath back, step back and go, okay, I'm not going to, react anymore with people. I'm also realizing that I say this to the girls all the time. This has been huge. I'm like, when they come to me and go, I can't believe so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. And I'm like, but maybe it's not about you. What's going on with them? Like that is affecting them that made them say that or act that way. It most of the cases, right? It's not about us.
Absolutely.
And I never knew that till later in my life. So the last
we
few
so
years,
quickly make things about us and make it so self-indulgent, like, oh, they're so mean to me. Like,
right.
Well, they're going through their own stuff.
The 4 agreements.
That was the narcissism of myself.
Exactly.
I was a narcissist in that way. Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought it was all about me.
Have you read the 4 Agreements?
Yeah. Love it.
It's like my Bible.
Yeah. If anybody hasn't read it, we'll put it in the show notes with a little link
it's
to
a
it.
Must.
It's a really quick read.
My girls have read it.
Oh, I have it in every bedside table. I give it to every friend that's going through something.
I know.
It's such a good
so good
book.
I know. We can't, right. We
overcomplicate.
We do.
It's really
Life.
simple. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I feel like that all of the illnesses too that I deal with is the same thing you guys are talking about. It's those people sitting there overcomplicating their lives, stressing about things they don't need to be stressing about and just, carrying around baggage that they have carried around since they were young that they don't even know they're carrying around, right? They're just... it's just that subconscious.
It's so exhausting.
It's so exhausting.
It's exhausting and it's taxing on your body. And, then we wonder why the body starts fighting itself and it's just confused.
Right.
Chronic, for people who don't know this, being under chronic stress has been shown to be the same as having a chronic physical disease. Like it's, if you're regularly stressed, your body responds in the same way that it responds to a medical disease condition.
Absolutely.
These cytokines and your antibodies kind of flaring up in your body. It works like it's fighting an infection.
Right.
And we're really well-made machines and we can fight infections for a while. But you talk 10,
so long.
15, 20, 25 years and the system gets messed up.
I know.
And so... But we've built this world, right? We've built this world where for so many people, especially maybe in some of the bigger cities where life is more complicated or things along those lines, like it's gotten to the point where things are so complicated that it's hard sometimes to slow that down until you get sick.
Right.
It's hard sometimes to slow that down until you don't have an option.
Yeah. That's scary. That is scary for my girls. I'm worried about them for that. They are conscious of this other world, One of them, the older one, does work in the wellness space, which is really pretty cool for Kelsey. And so I think, it's nice to have her in that world a little bit. But I am like, they don't ever slow down. They just are constantly on their phones, and they're constantly, or they're, at Barry's boot camp or even that kind of stuff. I mean, it's interesting. You talk about stress in that way, doing hardcore exercise is stressful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people don't equate that with stress, or it's kind of sad because if you're stressed and you even have if you're a happy stress or you're hyped, that's still stress.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I do
You gotta zen it out, like balance it out with some yin yoga, some Pilates, some nature walks.
Right, nature.
Some like silent meditation walks.
Thank God for meditation these days. I just hope it becomes a part of people's world.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a perfect transition to the lessons.
Dun, dun,
So, dun, dun, dun. There are 5 questions that we ask everybody who comes on the podcast. And I'm going to start asking you.
I should have listened to your other podcast.
No, cheater.
Right.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Right.
We're here now.
You're right. See, that was the perfectionist side of me.
Be prepared.
Yeah. You would have come with your prepared
I
answer.
know.
Let me pull out my sheet. Number 1, what is the best advice that you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received is someone, I think it really has to be from my dad, who sat down with me and said, no matter what, don't ever give up on yourself. It was, I'll never forget that. Like, he would sit with me when I'd get in trouble growing up, and I was always in trouble. And he'd be like, I know that this has happened, and I'd beat up on myself really bad. And he would be like, just don't ever give up. Just, you're a fighter.
That's awesome.
So
All right.
We
Go,
need
Dad.
someone teaching us that.
What is the best advice you can give to a person aspiring to do what you do?
the best advice to give to someone that I would say, I think it really is well, you've got to find your passion and your purpose. I mean, if it is nutrition and holistic living, and hopefully, because I feel like you can't do it well unless you really believe it, you really live it, and you're basically married to it. I mean, I think it's really important. But what has helped me is that being sick so much and really striving to get better my entire life for like all these 50 plus years, it's made me really, devour everything in the nutrition world so I could heal myself. So I could heal from cancer or heal from the hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's or anxiety or the sleep issues or the digestive issues. I mean, The list is endless. So
it's like you were on the other side.
Yeah.
Kind of like a D with addiction stuff.
Yeah.
Right, it is. I mean, I was living that other world that was so unhealthy and unhappy that I had this desire to get to the other side, right?
Yeah, I always tell people that if you have both, if you have the education and the experience, it's a really powerful mix.
Yeah, win-win.
What has been your proudest moment?
One moment, that's all I get to say?
You get one. You can use two.
No. Well, the proudest moment is having my girls, like being able to, because before I had my first daughter, I had 4 miscarriages. So I was so worried about getting pregnant. And then I got diagnosed with cancer after the 4 miscarriages. Thank God I had the miscarriages, I guess you'd say. And then I had Jordan. So, that's...
So you were diagnosed right after the miscarriages?
Right after the miscarriages.
That's crazy. I wonder if that's why you had the miscarriages.
I think it was. I do. I think it was
Your
the right
body
timing.
knew.
Yep.
People ask all the time, like, how do I get pregnant? I'm having trouble. And I'm like, well, do you weigh enough? Are you doing too much?
Right.
Are you, you've got to, your body knows. It's so intelligent.
Yep.
If you're not healthy and you don't have a really safe, nurturing environment that's super healthy and balanced for that baby to grow in.
Yeah.
Even with Leo, I was breastfeeding at the time. I really wanted to get pregnant with him, but I was like, because I was breastfeeding and so busy, I was a little underweight. The minute that I just gained, I think I gained like 3 or 4 pounds. stop breastfeeding and boom, I was pregnant. Like your body just, it knows.
Right.
You know?
It does. It really does. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to be a mom either at the time. So it wasn't good timing.
Yeah.
And then it was hard to get pregnant with the second one, with Sammy, but I meditated more, started eating healthier. Just like you said, I kind of got myself back into a better place and less stress. Then I got pregnant with her. So having the two of them has been, I don't know what I'd do without them these days, with everything we've been through. So
It's the best.
It is the best.
It's really the
It
best
is. I mean, we don't go a day without talking to each other and connecting and,
So special.
So cool.
What ignites you?
What ignites me? Oh God, life. I mean, just being alive, being able to after having a husband pass away and not be here and conquering my own illnesses and having the fear of dying when I had cancer, that whole feeling that I get to wake up every day and live, be here today and spend time with my girls and my fiance and my stepsons, but also get to do what I love is help people and help them realize that their life doesn't have to be status quo. That's a big thing. I mean, that if you're anxious or if you're, hormonal or if you're a little bit on the, the older women that I deal with a lot of in late 40s, 50s, they're like, this is my life. I'm going to be, just aging and I don't look good. I don't feel good. And I don't sleep well. And I'm like, but it doesn't have to be that way because I'm a living example of you
Huge
can,
shifts.
yeah, huge. And you have so many years to live. So I am massively ignited. I'm starting to write my second book.
Yay.
Next year in January, starting. So
Wow,
there's
nice.
a lot of cool things
And
happening.
your first book is called Cancer Hacks?
Cancer Hacks.
Yeah. Cool.
The second one will probably be called Autoimmune Hacks.
All right.
Awesome.
We'll have a link
Yeah.
to Cancer
Yeah.
Hacks on our
Thank you.
little description for this thing.
Thanks.
And then we talked so much about you need to take care of yourself. What is your self-care ritual? How do you make sure that you're always at your best?
You mean other than the shots of tequila at night?
Yeah.
Well, no.
What balance
Last
is that?
night-
That's
Yeah.
self-care.
You can throw that in
right.
there.
Balance.
Right. If anyone wants to know, Casa de Granes is the best tequila on the market if you drink it. No. It is really going to bed by no later than 11 because sleep is crucial. And I do get a second wind, so I try not to. But 10 to 2, your body resets and those hours are crucial. So it's really that, getting enough sleep, and then meditating every morning. 5 minutes is my meditation because I have a little ADD and I can't seem to stay focused. And then I am a huge juicer. I love to juice greens. I don't juice fruit in my juices, but I've been juicing ever since I was diagnosed with cancer. And I do a lot of just even celery, cucumber, lemon, ginger, fennel, dandelion greens, different things
Yum.
rather than kale and spinach, which I've had a lot of too, but I do my own. I freshly juice or I go, because we have so many great places around town, I go to one of them and I get it juiced. I don't buy the cold press.
Right. Have them juice that right there.
Yeah. And then plant-based mostly, but I always make sure I'm getting a lot of protein. If it's vegan, mostly vegan, and some little bit of animal protein. So,
Cool.
And yoga. God, savior.
How often do you go a week? for
Yoga, I go 3 times a week.
Okay.
At least. I wish I did more, but it's hot yoga. It's power yoga. So,
There you go.
yeah. So
All
it's-
right. You heard it from the master herself. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like
Love
we
you
could keep
guys.
talking for hours.
We love
Yeah.
you.
I learn a lot from you guys as well. So,
And we will put all the links to all the amazing things you're doing, your website, the book, all that kind of wonderful stuff on our thing. Thank you again so much. And I'm sure we'll talk soon. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Ignited podcast. We were so happy to have you along for this ride. Please go and subscribe to this. Leave us a review. We love hearing from you. And if you want more, don't forget to go to ignited.com, where all the podcast episodes are available with show notes and so many of the little details and links from each one of these interviews. And you can look at all the future events that we have going on, all the things that make Ignited so special, even beyond this recording. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.